All right, let's take a deep dive into the world of Blizzard Entertainment, from their start all the way to today. Think of it as a crash course on Blizzard, all based on Jason Schreier's book, Play Nice.
That's a great book, full of juicy stories and inside info.
You'll see how this small company, fueled by passion, became a gaming giant.
A lot of pizza was probably involved too.
We're uncovering the creation of games like Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch games that changed gaming forever. We'll explore their unique management by chaos, mergers and acquisitions, and even the controversies they faced.
It's a story full of twists and turns.
Let's rewind to 1991. Two guys, Alan Adam and Mike Morhaime, loved video games so much they started a company called Silicon and Synapse.
Not the best name, huh?
Not quite as cool as Blizzard, that's for sure. They started by adapting games for consoles, but they wanted to make their own original stuff.
That was their real passion.
And even back then, they cared about quality. They were known for being fast and efficient.
Not an easy thing to pull off, especially in the early 90s.
And it shows in their work. They had hits like Rock and Roll Racing and The Lost Viking.
Those are classics.
And there's this funny story about how Adam's mom got stuck in The Lost Vikings.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that.
She got trapped in a deadly spot. And it made Adam realize that games need to ease players in, make them feel powerful.
So players don't rage quit like his mom. It's about understanding what makes a game fun and engaging.
Exactly. Now, they got inspired by a game called Dune the Second. And tried this new real-time strategy thing.
Ah, yes. The birth of Warcraft.
And it changed everything.
Warcraft was revolutionary, not just for Blizzard, but for gaming in general. It popularized this whole idea of being a commander, leading massive armies. It was a brand new concept.
And they poured their hearts and souls into it. Imagine living at the office, probably surviving on pizza.
Fueled by pure passion.
There's even a funny story about how they used the same font from Dune the Second in the first Warcraft.
Whoops.
They only noticed it later.
Those early days are so interesting.
A young company, just figuring things out, driven by pure love for games.
Exactly.
Now let's talk Diablo. Blizzard bought this company, Condor, which became Blizzard North.
And that's how we got this iconic action RPG that we still love today.
A really bold move for Blizzard, taking them into a much darker world.
And you won't believe this. The lead developer called their contract the worst contract in the history of the universe. They were so passionate about Diablo, they accepted a deal that barely covered their costs.
Wow. Talk about dedication. And the lead programmer, Pat Wyatt, he lived at Blizzard North for 4 months.
4 months.
Just to get Battle.net working for Diablo.
They were really determined to make online gaming smooth. That level of commitment is incredible.
They truly believed they were making something special.
That's the magic of Blizzard in those early days.
But that intensity, it wasn't always sustainable.
Right.
When they were making StarCraft, their ambitious sci-fi RTS, things got pretty intense. All that overtime. It took a toll on people. StarCraft
really shows both the genius and the potential downsides of that management by chaos style. An amazing game came out of it, but it also raised concerns about that work environment. Could it actually last?
They were so close to making a completely different StarCraft too.
Really?
They debated whether to scrap the original idea and make it more 3D. Like Westwood Studios' Dominion.
It's fascinating how those internal struggles actually help shape a game. They force you to really question every idea and explore different paths.
It makes you wonder what could have been. But back then, they wanted to stick with their vision.
All those long hours, the constant push for perfection.
It was starting to burn people out, even though they kept saying they were 2 weeks away from finishing.
It felt like forever.
The crunch just kept going. They wanted to make StarCraft perfect, even if it meant pushing themselves to the limit.
It makes you think about the price of passion. When does aiming for perfection start to hurt the people making the game?
It's a question the gaming industry is still figuring out.
Yeah, it's a question without easy answers. And things got even more complicated as Blizzard went from a small, close-knit team to a massive company.
Oh, for sure. And that growth spurt, well, that was World of Warcraft. That game was huge EE. Millions of players.
Yeah.
A whole online world. Do you think it lived up to the hype?
I think World of Warcraft was a defining moment, not just for Blizzard, but for MMOs in general. It proved how immersive these worlds could be. You know, it's interesting, they originally imagined World of Warcraft as a much smaller game.
Really?
Yeah. But the project just kept expanding.
It became this massive, all-consuming thing.
Well, absolutely. And the launch.
I bet it was wild.
Pure chaos. Servers overloaded, players waiting forever in queues. The team was scrambling to keep the world from crashing.
I can imagine.
There's this great story about Jeremy Masker.
Okay, tell me.
He joined right in the middle of all that as a server admin. Talk about being thrown into the deep end.
Wow. From a small team to a global phenomenon, how did they handle that?
It forced them to change. They had to organize, create structures, figure out how to manage a global workforce. They weren't a scrappy startup anymore. They were a big deal.
And then, bam, the Activision merger. Two gaming giants with different cultures, different philosophies.
That merger is a classic example of the challenges that come with blending different company cultures. Activision, led by Bobby Kotick, was known for its focus on numbers, on growth. Blizzard, they were all about the gamers, about quality and creative freedom.
So is it good or bad for Blizzard?
It's hard to say for sure. It gave them resources, a wider reach, but there were concerns about creative control, about feeling pressure to prioritize profits over the long-term vision. It was a big shift.
And in the middle of all this, they were working on Titan, this supposed next-gen MMO that was going to be even bigger than World of Warcraft.
Titan, a cautionary tale.
What happened?
It became too ambitious. They lost direction. It was a clash of philosophies within Blizzard. Chris Metzen wanted something epic, grand. Others, like Rob Pardo, favored a more grounded tactical approach.
Sounds like a recipe for
disaster. Yeah, pretty much.
So what was it? What led to its downfall?
No clear vision. The project just kept ballooning with new features constantly being added. It was like they were trying to make a masterpiece by committee.
It never quite came together.
Exactly. After years of work, millions of dollars, they had to cancel it.
It's tough.
It was a major setback, but they learned from it. Those lessons actually shaped their approach to future projects, like Overwatch.
Oh, Overwatch. A huge hit. It felt like they were back.
Overwatch was a breath of fresh air, wasn't it? Vibrant, diverse characters, unique gameplay, positive vibes, a welcome change from all the dark and gritty shooters out there.
It felt like a new era for Blizzard. They put so much effort into building that world, those characters.
Exactly. It's not just about making a fun game. You need to create a world that players want to be a part of, a world they connect with.
And Blizzard has always been good at that.
Absolutely. But even with Overwatch's success, there were still controversies, internal struggles, the allegations of harassment, discrimination, the criticisms of their culture.
It was a difficult time.
These are issues that go way beyond Blizzard. It's societal problems. But it's important to hold companies accountable, right? To push for better, more inclusive environments. How do you think they handled these challenges?
Well, it was good to see them take steps. New policies, initiatives for diversity, a more welcoming workplace. It was a start.
It's an ongoing effort, a continuous process that demands real commitment. We can't let up on that. We need to hold Blizzard and other companies accountable, make sure those promises translate into real action.
Absolutely. Now let's talk esports. The creation of the Overwatch League was a game changer for the whole industry.
It really was. Esports is proof of how important video games have become in our culture. What started as a niche hobby is now a global phenomenon, with millions of viewers watching pros compete.
And Blizzard was right there, leading the charge.
They saw the potential, engaging fans, generating revenue, taking gaming to a whole new level.
They didn't just dip their toes in, they went all in. The Overwatch League was modeled after traditional sports leagues, like the NFL or NBA.
A bold move.
What were some of the challenges they faced?
Navigating team ownership, franchise fees, building a whole ecosystem to support players, teams, viewers, and don't forget Bobby Kotick's decision, a $20 million franchise fee.
$20 million per team.
Talk about believing in the potential of esports.
Did that gamble pay off?
Initially, yeah. Big investors, packed arenas, millions of viewers. It was a huge success, proof that their vision was working.
But I bet it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Of course not. Maintaining viewership, attracting sponsors, generating revenue. Those are ongoing challenges.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit.
Oh yeah, that must have been a huge disruption.
Massive. Travel restrictions, remote competitions. They had to adapt, find new ways to connect with fans.
It showed their resilience, their ability to think on their feet.
Definitely. But while all this was happening, tensions were brewing between Blizzard and Activision.
What caused that?
Activision, under Kotick, wanted Blizzard to be more financially driven, a more data-driven approach to development, to releases.
I see where the clash might come in.
It clashed with Blizzard's traditional way of doing things.
That gamer-first mentality.
Exactly.
How did it play out?
Disagreements over budgets, profit sharing, even the direction of specific games.
It's understandable that both sides had their own perspectives.
Finding that balance between creative freedom and financial discipline is tough.
And then Mike Morhaime, Blizzard CEO, decided to leave.
It felt like the end of an era.
Definitely.
Morhaime's departure was a major shift for Blizzard. It added to the uncertainty, you know? The company was already dealing with a changing industry, more competition, demands for new content. Plus, they were facing criticism from fans and the media, questions about their direction, their transparency. It was a lot to handle.
So what happened next? How did they find their way through all that?
It really did feel like Blizzard was at a crossroads, trying to figure out their future. All this baggage from the past and the pressure to keep up in the gaming world.
It's like they were standing on the edge of something.
Yeah.
Not sure if it was going to be amazing or, well, not so amazing.
And what happened to them could affect everyone else in the industry too. More mergers, less creativity. It was a big deal.
So did they turn things around?
Well, it's a tough question. They could have become the kings of gaming again, won back their fans. But merging two huge companies,
It's never easy.
different cultures clashing, people getting lost in the shuffle, and the whole gaming world was changing too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Free-to-play games, the pressure to squeeze money out of everything, keeping players hooked.
Tough challenges for everyone, not just Blizzard. They needed to adapt, come up with something new.
So did they overcome all that?
Well, being bought by Microsoft, that could be the turning point. Suddenly they had tons of resources, global reach, a company known for innovation.
That's a lot of potential. Did they use it to make some awesome games?
It's too early to say for sure, but it definitely gave them a boost, a chance to try new things, refresh their old games, maybe even recapture that magic they were known for.
So there's hope for Blizzard.
Definitely. But it takes more than just money and resources, right? They got to get back to their roots, putting gamers first, focusing on quality. They need to listen to their fans again, make everyone feel welcome.
It's a good plan. But let's talk games. What about Diablo Immortal, that mobile game?
Ah, yes, that was a big test for them.
Right.
Could they make a mobile Diablo that felt right?
Did they?
It depends who you ask. Some people loved it. Easy to play, fun gameplay. But others, not so much. They didn't like how they made money off it. Felt like it wasn't a true Diablo game.
It sounds like a balancing act. Appealing to mobile gamers while staying true to the original.
Exactly. Mobile gaming is a whole different beast. Different design, different expectations, different ways to make money. Blizzard always made games you could play for hours and hours. But mobile games, they're all about quick bursts, little purchases, new stuff all the time.
Did they figure it out? How to make mobile games the Blizzard way?
They're still working on it, trying to blend their commitment to quality with, the reality of the mobile market. Diablo Immortal, and any other mobile games they make. It all hinges on finding that formula that works for everyone.
Sounds tricky. What about their other big franchises? The ones that made them famous?
That's another big challenge. They're known for these iconic series, but, lately it's felt like they're struggling to keep them fresh, to innovate, to make those groundbreaking games they were known for.
What's holding them back?
A lot of things. More competition than ever. Bigger teams, harder to manage. The pressure to release sequel after sequel that somehow blow everyone away. And what was cool 10 years ago might not be cool now, right? They need to keep up with how gaming's changing.
So where does that leave them? What's next for Blizzard?
Hard to say. But they've got a lot going for them. History of making great games, passionate fans, talented developers.
And now Microsoft's backing them.
Exactly. But they got to tap into that creativity again, take some risks, get back to what made them special.
Sounds like their story's not over yet. A lot to prove, but
Yeah.
they could write an amazing next chapter.
What's the biggest lesson we can take away from all this?
That's a good question. I think it's that the gaming world never stands still. And companies like Blizzard, they're always trying to keep up. Their story, the good and the bad, it shows us how hard it is to stay creative, to handle company culture, to keep that connection with players strong.
Even the best can stumble. And to really make something new, you got to take some chances.
That's the spirit. And at the end of the day, the future of gaming, it's in all our hands. Players, developers, the whole community.
Yeah.
The choices we make will shape the games we play, the experiences we share.
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Blizzard Entertainment. It's been a wild ride, and we can't wait to see what they do next. Keep exploring the world of games, everyone.